The Eagle and the Friend. Morison-Kingsman arrived at Judith's shop shortly after 11 a.m. on June 12th, seeking the rare solitude the rain had granted him. The morning's heated exchanges still echoed in his chest. He settled into the small wooden chair behind the counter, surrounded by neatly arranged bolts of fabric and packets of provisions. The shop was quiet, save for the gentle drumming of rain on the zinc roof. For nearly 3 hours, until Judith would arrive around 2 p.m., this modest space belonged only to him and his thoughts. He had not told Judith the dream. The night before, the quarrel had been too fierce, too raw. But in the early hours of this morning, during the tense phone calls with his third wife under the veranda roof, he had narrated the dream to her in full. Now, alone in the shop, he allowed the vision to return with sober, unflinching clarity. He opened his phone and began typing slowly, deliberately, as though transcribing a sacred and dangerous testimony. In the dream, he had been living with a former schoolmate, a man he once regarded as a close friend. They shared a vast castle-like house filled with many rooms and the distant laughter of children. One evening, Morison-Kingsman stepped into the compound and witnessed an extraordinary sight. Massive eagles of unnatural size descending from the sky, their wings casting enormous shadows across the ground. He had encountered such creatures before in the dream realm and had even caught one. Memory stirred powerfully. He concealed himself carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. The first dive was close but imperfect. The great bird escaped and landed far away on the grass. Other enormous birds circled nearby, and a powerful sea lion watched silently from the edge, like an ancient witness. Undeterred, Morison-Kingsman moved again with greater precision. This time, his dive succeeded. He seized the massive eagle, its body heavy and muscular, thrumming with wide power beneath his grip. The creature fought ferociously. He found a thick black belt and bound its powerful wings. The eagle broke free once, but he caught it again, holding it firmly even as its sharp beak twisted viciously toward his hands, drawing lines of blood. With grim resolve, he secured the belt tightly and lifted the enormous bird high, carrying his hard-won prize back into the house like a trophy of conquest. His friend emerged from one of the inner rooms and saw the bound eagle. Instead of celebration or admiration, anger darkened his face. He demanded that Morison-Kingsman release the creature immediately, calling the achievement foolish, reckless, and dangerous. The rejection cut deeply. It awakened every past slight, the constant subtle discouragement, the absence of genuine joy at his rare victories, the quiet envy that had always lurked beneath their supposed brotherhood. Words ignited into shouts. Shouts became blows. The confrontation turned primal and unrelenting. In the heat of rage, Morison-Kingsman overpowered the man who had so often diminished him. His friend fell, Life left his body. A young doctor who had been attending to one of the children in the house witnessed the entire scene. Horror filled his eyes. He watched Morison-Kingsman attempt to compose himself and slip away as though nothing had happened. The doctor confronted him, demanding accountability. He did not know Morison-Kingsman's name or family. He seized the phone, somehow located Judith's number, and prepared to report that her husband had just killed a man. He wanted the police involved. Strangely, Morison-Kingsman felt no fear of imprisonment. A dark, almost triumphant satisfaction bloomed within him. He had finally silenced the voice that had always undermined his progress. Yet, the doctor was desperate. Without a clear description of the culprit, he himself might become a suspect. He noticed Morison-Kingsman carried a book, a newly printed memoir of his own life. The doctor seized it, opened the pages, and began reading rapidly, absorbing every detail of Morison-Kingsman's identity, his family, his history, and his secrets. With each line the doctor consumed, Morison-Kingsman felt his escape routes vanishing. The evidence was now complete. There would be no clean getaway. He had awakened from the dream suspended between dark victory and dawning dread. Morison-Kingsman paused his typing in the quiet shop and stared at the falling rain outside. The dream was no ordinary nightmare. It was a stark revelation. The ego represented his rare moments of genuine breakthrough, the acting role earlier that day, fleeting financial wins, spiritual insights, the small conquests he managed to grasp in a life of mostly futility. His friend symbolized every discouraging voice, every envious eye, every person who greeted his progress with suspicion or diminishment rather than celebration. The killing was the soul's violent cry for liberation from constant opposition. Yet the dream refused to grant him clean catharsis. The doctor's intervention and the reading of the memoir carried a clear warning. Destroying those who hindered him would not bring freedom. It would only bring exposure, judgment, and the closing of all hiding places. The very act of conquest would document and publicize his deeds, making escape impossible. He thought again of the previous night. In the heat of quarrel with Judith, he had threatened to hit her. He had even told her he felt like pushing her into a river so she could drown. So suffocating had her constant suspicions and quarrels become. Those words now shamed him deeply. In the dream, he had killed the friend who discouraged him. In waking life, he had come dangerously close to wishing destruction upon the woman he claimed to be building a new tribe with. Was this not the same pattern? Fate had shown him the violence lurking in his own heart, while he preached against external enemies. The real adversary was not only the third wife, nor even Judith's persistence, but the part of himself that would rather eliminate opposition than transform relationships through truth, patience, and genuine service. At 2 p.m., Judith arrived at the shop, slightly damp from the rain. She asked him for money to go to the market. She reported that the bathroom was now complete, walls beautifully covered in white tiles, the floor laid in elegant brown and milk patterns. She had left her settlement with her younger brother at the compound. Morison-Kingsman gave her the money. By 2:30 p.m., she left for the market. Alone once more, he returned to his phone and continued writing. The dream had been a mirror. The ego was real progress. The friend was every choice and voice that diminished it. The killing was the temptation he must resist, and the memoir was the inevitable record. Every act, whether in dream or reality, would eventually be read and known. The rain continued its soft drumming on the zinc roof. Fate had shown him the script. Now came the harder task, refusing to play the killer in his own story.